Hello and welcome back. Today, we're diving into an identity that really challenges the old, fixed ideas many of us were taught about gender. We're going to get a much clearer picture of what it means to be gender fluid. So, let's jump right in.
So let's start with the big question, one that gets right to the heart of it all. Is gender this static, unchanging thing? Or could it be something more dynamic, something that can flow and shift over time? This question right here is the perfect starting point for our whole conversation.
All right, first things first. We need to build a solid foundation. So this first section is all about getting a really clear definition of what it actually means to identify as gender fluid.
Okay, so here's the core of it. Being gender fluid simply means your gender identity isn't fixed in one place. It can move, it can shift. One day you might feel more masculine, another day more feminine, and some days you might feel like you're somewhere else entirely, completely outside of those two boxes. And this isn't about being confused. It's about an internal, personal experience of gender that is dynamic by its very nature.
And if we dig a little deeper, we see some really key aspects here. What's super interesting is the timing of these shifts. There's no set schedule. It could happen over a few days, a few months, or even over years. But the most crucial point, for sure, is that this is a real, authentic identity. It's not a phase, and it's not confusion. It's really all about having the flexibility to live your truth. And for some people, that might mean using different pronouns at different times to reflect how they feel inside.
And, this identity has such a powerful visual symbol. The Genderfluid Pride Flag, which was designed back in 2012 by J.J. Poole, actually uses color to capture the very essence of what it means to be fluid.
And every single stripe on this flag has a very specific intentional meaning. So you've got the pink, which stands for femininity, and the blue, which stands for masculinity. That beautiful purple stripe in the middle, that represents the combination of both. Then you have the white stripe, which is there to represent all genders, covering identities both within and outside of that binary. And finally, the black stripe represents the experience of being agender, basically feeling a lack of a specific gender. When you put them all together, these colors just beautifully visualize that entire incredible spectrum.
Okay, so now that we've got a better handle on the basics, it's really important that we tackle some of the common myths that are out there. Addressing misinformation head-on is the best way to get to the truth of it all.
All right, let's bust myth number one, the idea that this is all somehow made up. Well, the reality is that gender fluidity is a completely valid identity. And honestly, the concept of gender being fluid isn't even new. You can find examples of it in many different cultures throughout history.
And then there's this one, the idea that gender fluid people are just looking for attention. But let's flip that, right? Think about it. In a world that so often wants to put everyone into a neat little box, expressing an identity that flows and changes takes an incredible amount of courage. So visibility isn't about seeking attention, it's about survival, and it's about the fundamental human need for self-expression.
And finally, this idea that it's all just too complicated. And you know what? The reality is that human identity is complex. But that's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Instead of being afraid of that complexity, it's something we should celebrate. It's part of what makes every single one of us so unique.
So, with those myths out of the way, let's shift our focus to the lived experience. What does it actually mean to live authentically as a gender fluid person? What does that look like day to day?
While support from community and from allies is absolutely vital. And sometimes it's the simple things, like just respecting a person's current name and pronouns, that make all the difference in the world. Finding that connection in queer spaces, whether it's online or in person, is also just crucial. This kind of visibility and acceptance doesn't just empower one person, it empowers everyone who's on their own journey of gender exploration.
So, as we start to wrap things up, I want to leave you with one final, really powerful takeaway that I think captures the core message of everything we've talked about today.
And it's this. Gender just isn't a simple binary choice. It's not black and white. It's so much more like a work of art, It's full of movement and nuance and an entire spectrum of beautiful, amazing possibilities.
And I'm going to end with this quote that just says it all so perfectly. Gender doesn't need to fit neatly into a box. It can flow, shift, and shine in every color of the flag. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.